Welcome to Horror Story Society, your late night home for original scary stories, eerie encounters, and slow burn nightmares. New narrations drop regularly, from psychological dread to paranormal terror. Put on your headphones, lock the door, and join the society. Just don't listen alone. I used to live alone. Tiny apartment, one bedroom, thin walls. The kind of place where things don't echo right, too sharp, like the sound hits something you can't see. The nights were never really quiet. Old building, old pipes, neighbors stomping around. I got used to it. But around late September, something changed. I started hearing this noise from under my bed. Not scratching, not scurrying, not the cliche stuff. It was breathing, slow, ragged, wet, like someone had just finished crying. And it only came when I was almost asleep, the exact second my brain slipped between awake and dreaming. You know that feeling, right? When your limbs go heavy and your thoughts start floating. That's when I'd hear it, every single night. I told myself it was the pipes, maybe the neighbor, maybe I was tired. But there was a moment, one night, that broke me. I'd just gotten home from work, long day. I crashed face first onto the bed, didn't bother turning on the light, didn't even shut the door. I just fell into the mattress like a corpse. As soon as my eyes shut, I heard it, a deep, slow inhale, right beneath me, right below my ribs. I froze. I swear to you, every hair on my body stood up at the exact same time. Then I felt the bed move. Something underneath me shifted. Not enough to be an animal, not enough to be a person turning over. Something heavier, something deliberate. Like whatever was under there was getting comfortable. I lay there for maybe a minute, holding my breath, waiting to see if it would happen again. It didn't. Instead, something touched the bottom of the mattress with its fingertip, just one tap, right where my spine was, like it was saying, I know you're awake. I slid off the bed so slowly my joints hurt, crawled to the wall, turned the light on. Nothing. Not a damn thing under the bed except dust and an old sock. But I still couldn't shake the feeling that something had just pulled back, like it was hiding, not gone. That night I slept sitting up on the couch, lights on, TV volume low. And around 3:17 a.m. the couch frame creaked. Once, then again. Then that same noise, the breathing, drifted from underneath me. I didn't sleep for 2 days after that. People always say the same crap when you mention something like this. Oh, you were stressed. Oh, you're imagining things. Oh, your brain plays tricks when you're tired. Yeah, sure. But my brain wasn't the one that opened my bedroom door the next night. Because yes, it opened. Slow, steady, with the hinges whining in that long, miserable way old doors do when someone pushes them from the inside. And I was standing on the opposite side of the apartment. I watched the door swing open inch by inch, like something invisible was crawling out of the dark and didn't care if I saw it. I didn't move. Not at first. Then I heard something new. Not breathing. Laughing. A quiet, muffled, choking laugh from the darkness under the bed. Not playful, not human. It sounded like someone trying to imitate laughter after never having done it before. A broken sound. A learning sound. And that's when I realized something horrible. Whatever was under my bed was getting better at pretending. Better at copying. Better at moving. Better at following me from room to room without me ever seeing it. Better at understanding me. I didn't sleep for a week. I barely ate. I kept all the lights on, even the fridge light. But the thing waited. It waited until the exact moment I started to feel safe, 2 weeks later, when nothing had happened and exhaustion finally knocked me out cold. I woke up in the middle of the night on my stomach, half asleep, and something was lying on top of me, flat against my back, heavy, freezing, motionless. Its cheek was pressed against my neck. I felt its mouth open slowly. It whispered right into my ear in my own voice, "Found you." That's where everything really began, because after that night I learned the truth. The thing under my bed wasn't under it. It was inside it, inside the walls, inside the floorboards, inside the spaces your eyes don't naturally wander to. And it wasn't hiding from me. It was waiting for me to notice it. It wanted me to see it. It wanted me to listen, and eventually, it wanted me to follow it somewhere. Somewhere it said I belonged. Somewhere it said it could finally show me its face. But that part That's where all the real horror starts. After the night it whispered, "Found you." Everything in the apartment felt wrong. Not dangerous. Worse than that. Expectant. Like the walls were holding in a breath. I tried sleeping anywhere else. Friends' houses, my car. But the same thing kept happening. I'd start drifting off, and I'd hear scratching under the seat, breathing from the trunk, whispers from the glove box. It followed me. I realized it wasn't tied to the apartment. It was tied to me. 3 days later, I snapped. I tore my bed apart, frame, boards, everything. I ripped it down to splinters. But when I pulled the last plank away, I found something carved into the underside of the wood. Not words. A perfect outline of my body. Torso, head, arms, legs. Like someone had lain beneath me every night and traced me with a fingernail. And in the chest area, scratched so deep the wood almost cracked, was a single hole, swirling and jagged, like something had tried to dig its way through the wood and into me. The moment I saw it, I felt a cold breeze behind me. I turned. Nothing there. But I swear to you, I heard something scramble quickly into the walls. A fast, skittering movement. Human-shaped, but not quite human-sized. That night, I didn't even pretend to sleep. I sat in the kitchen with every light on, staring at the hallway. Around 3:11 a.m., the drywall next to the fridge bulged outward, like something was crawling through the inside of the wall. Something big enough to leave a silhouette. A head, shoulders. It stopped, pressed its face against the bulge. I could see its outline, distorted, twisted, pushing right through the wall like it wanted to break the membrane. Then it whispered from inside the drywall, "I'm learning you." I ran, but you can't run from something that lives in the empty spaces. I moved out, just grabbed my keys and left everything behind. Clothes, TV, bed, didn't care. I just needed to get away from the walls. I checked into a cheap motel, doors thin, air stale, carpet sticky, but at least the walls felt dead, just brick and mold, nothing intelligent. The first night was quiet. The second night, I woke up around 4 a.m. with someone standing at the foot of the bed. Not a shadow, not a hallucination, a figure, tall, too tall, shoulders too narrow, limbs too long, draped in loose skin like oversized clothing. The whole shape of it. Wrong, like something trying to copy a human from memory, but forgetting details along the way. Its head tilted like a curious dog, twisting further than a spine should. Then it knelt, slowly, joints clicking. It raised one long, pale hand and placed a finger to its lips. But the finger wasn't straight. It bent in 3 unnatural places, like it had been broken repeatedly. It whispered, "Don't make a sound, or I'll have to start over." I didn't scream, couldn't scream. The thing reached under the bed frame and pulled out a piece of paper, crushed, dirty, damp. It slid it toward me, keeping its face inches from mine. I didn't want to look, but I did. On the paper was a drawing, a childlike drawing, me sleeping. And underneath the bed, a black scribble with wide, empty eyes. It had been drawing me, watching me, studying me. And now it wanted something in return. It leaned in and whispered, "Your turn." Then it vanished under the bed, bones crackling as it folded itself into the space like liquid. I left the motel that night too. I don't know how it kept finding me. I slept in different towns, gas stations, rest stops. I changed phones, changed names on hotel check-ins, cut my hair. Didn't matter. It always knew. And eventually, it started leaving messages, not threats, instructions. They'd show up scratched into the mirror condensation, or etched into the wood at whatever motel I ended up in. There was always 3 rules. Rule 1, don't sleep near walls. Rule 2, don't look directly where I hide. Rule 3, if you hear me breathing, pretend you didn't. I followed them for weeks, and things calmed down. Not normal, but quiet enough that I thought maybe I could survive this. Until I broke a rule. It wasn't intentional, I just slipped. I fell asleep leaning against the wall of a bus station. When I woke up, the wall I slept against had a perfect human-shaped indentation, as though something inside had been pushing its face and hands through the concrete to get closer to me. And next to it, scratched into the cement, was something sharp. "I'm almost finished learning you." The final week is still a blur, like a fever dream. I couldn't run anymore. My body was wrecked, my nerves shot. I knew eventually it was going to catch me somewhere quiet, somewhere dark, somewhere tired. And that's exactly what happened. I found myself walking, barefoot, half-conscious, through an old service tunnel near the edge of town. Don't even remember starting the walk, like it was guiding me. The air felt thick, wet, electric. The deeper I went, the louder the breathing got. Not behind me, not around me, inside me, like it was using my lungs. At the end of the tunnel was a hole in the ground, perfectly round, like a well. The air pouring out of it was cold enough to bite. I heard movement from inside, slow, deliberate. Then I heard my voice, echoing up from the darkness. Not a recording, not a mimic. It was speaking like it knew my thoughts before I did. "Come down," it said softly. "There's something I've been saving for you. There's a place for your shape beside mine. You'll finally understand what you are." I felt myself stepping closer, not because I wanted to, because the ground around the hole was warm, pulsing like a heartbeat, like the place was alive, like something down there was waiting. I didn't jump. I don't know how I stopped myself. All I remember is running, blind, panicked, until sunlight hit my face and I collapsed in the dirt. But as my eyes adjusted, I saw something carved into the ground beside me. A new outline. My outline. But this time, it wasn't empty. Inside the outline was a second figure, curled around me like a parasite hugging its host. It had no face, no features, just a hollow depression where a face should be. The Hollow Man. That's what I call it now. Because whatever it is, it isn't finished. Not with me. Not with anything shaped like a person. It still visits. Not every night. Just when I'm close to sleeping. Close to letting my guard down. Sometimes I hear it in the vents. Sometimes in the closet. Sometimes right behind me, breathing shallow, like it's practicing being alive. I don't know what it wants anymore. But last night, it spoke again. Not a whisper this time. A full sentence. Clear, steady, confident. It said, "You're almost ready." Ready for what? I don't know, but I feel it getting closer, shaping itself better, fixing the mistakes in its imitation. And now, when I look into dark corners, sometimes I see my own silhouette standing there, watching me, waiting to take the next step. I didn't want to go back to that place. God, I didn't. But when something spends months studying you, learning your breath, your thoughts, your fears, you eventually run out of places to hide. The Hollow Man didn't drag me there physically. It didn't need to. It waited. Waited until I was so mentally threadbare that my brain cracked open at the edges. Waited until my sleep deprivation blurred reality into something soft and dissolving. Waited until I was ready, or at least, until I was broken enough to follow its voice, because that's what happened. I woke up standing in the middle of my apartment at 3:28 a.m. The lights were off, the air was freezing, and my bedroom door, which I always deadbolt, was wide open. My bare feet were pointed toward the hallway. And in the dark, at the far end of that hallway, something shifted, like a shadow stretching its limbs after a long sleep. Then it spoke. Not a whisper, not mimicry. My voice, perfectly my voice, but hollow, stretched, empty. Come see what you are. My legs moved before my thoughts could stop them. I wasn't in control anymore. You ever feel like your body is walking ahead of your soul? That's what it felt like. I walked barefoot out of my apartment, down the stairs, across the street. The night was dead silent, no traffic, no wind, not even distant dogs barking. The world felt paused, like everything was listening. Every streetlight I passed flickered out. My shadow stretched behind me, longer with every step, until it looked like something else was walking attached to my heels. Something jointed wrong. When I reached the edge of town, I saw it, the old service tunnel, the same one from before. But now the metal gate was wide open, hinges bent outward like something massive had pushed its way through. The air pouring out was cold enough to sting my eyes, and there was breathing inside, not just one set of lungs, dozens, soft, hungry, waiting. The Hollow Man whispered again from everywhere at once, "Come down, I need you to see it, I need you to understand." I stepped inside. The deeper I walked, the stranger the sound my footsteps became. They echoed wrong. like the ground wasn't solid concrete anymore, more like ribs. The tunnel walls had changed too. The concrete had warped, bulging in places like there were bodies pressing against the inside, trying to push through. I saw fingers, faces, half-formed limbs frozen in the stone, not dead, waiting. The deeper I went, the more the walls pulsed, slow, rhythmic, alive. That's when I realized what the sound under my bed had been all along. Not breathing, heartbeat. This place wasn't underground, it wasn't man-made, it was alive, and I was walking into its throat. A few minutes deeper, I reached the well, the same hole I almost stepped into before. But now it wasn't a hole, it was an eye. A wide, lidless, perfectly round opening, flesh pulsing around the edge like lips. Wet, breathing, contracting. A wind rushed upward from it, cold and thick, carrying the smell of old earth and long-sealed rot. Then hands began pulling themselves up from the darkness. They weren't human hands. Too thin. Too many joints. Skin stretched so tightly it looked like tracing paper. They gripped the rim of the well, and something rose. Not the hollow man exactly. Not the version I'd seen in motels or walls. This form was bigger, more complete. Like everything it had learned from watching me, everything it had practiced, was now fully assembled. It unfolded itself into the tunnel, towering, jointed like a spider but shaped vaguely like a person wearing someone else's loose skin. No face, just a wide depression where features should be, like someone pressed a warm mask against clay and then peeled it off. It stood over me and extended a hand. Come see. When its fingers brushed my cheek, the world went silent. Then it showed me. I wasn't in the tunnel anymore. I was in a space so black it swallowed depth. No floor, no walls, just a shape me floating in darkness. Then the darkness moved. Hundreds of long, pale limbs shifted around me, crawling over each other, unfolding like insects waking from hibernation. All of them shaped like me, all of them empty, all of them trembling. They whispered without mouths. Not ready, not the right shape, too soft, needs more learning. Something huge stirred behind them, deeper in the void. A mass, a shape bigger than buildings, made of limbs and torsos and twisting bodies all fused together, like the outlines of people pressed into a pulsating membrane. The hollow man stood beside me, its faceless head tilted toward the colossal shape. This is the beginning, it said. This is where shapes are made. I didn't understand. It placed one long hand on my chest, and suddenly, I did. The hollow man wasn't trying to hurt me. It was trying to become me, to copy me perfectly, to replace me, to crawl into my life wearing my face, my voice, my habits. But it couldn't. It was still missing something. A final detail, something it could only learn if I followed it willingly. It tightened its grip around my wrist. Come with me, it said. Help me finish your shape. I didn't want to go, but I saw what would happen if I refused. Behind the hollow man, another figure crawled into the darkness. A figure shaped like me, or shaped like someone who once was me. Its body was twisted, hollowed out, limbs too long, spine curled like a dying insect. It pressed its face, if you could call it that, against mine, and whispered. I said no. Then it collapsed into a pile of loose skin and bone dust. The hollow man leaned close. Choose. Follow. It lifted its hand, and the entire void inhaled. Or be consumed. Something inside me broke, or maybe it clicked into place. I looked at the hollow man, its faceless head, its trembling body, its desperate need to be me. It wasn't a monster, it was a question wearing skin, a question waiting for an answer. My answer. My legs moved, not in fear, not in surrender, in decision. I stepped toward it. Its body shuddered with relief, limbs unfolding with the slow ecstasy of something completing a purpose. It reached out gently, reverently, placing its fingers against my throat as if memorizing the pulse. It whispered, soft, trembling, "You chose." But in that exact moment, in that fragile breath between decision and consequence, something else inside the void moved. A second shape, not pale, not hollow, not one of them. It was me, the real me, standing across the darkness, staring at me with wide, terrified eyes. He lifted his hand, shaking. "Don't," he said. "That's what it wants." The hollow man turned its head toward him, and for the first time. It growled, a low, animal sound full of anger and possession. It didn't want two of me. It wanted the right me, and it wasn't going to choose. It expected me to. One of us had to go. The void pulsed, the darkness tightened, and the hollow man whispered, gentle, calm, inevitable, finish the shape. The hollow man's fingers tightened gently, not enough to hurt, just enough to remind me that I was already halfway chosen. Beside me, the copy, my other self, shook his head, eyes wide with terror. "Don't you get it?" he whispered. "It doesn't want you to follow it. It wants you to finish replacing yourself." The hollow man leaned close to him, its faceless head tilting in a twitching, predatory angle, and it whispered, in my voice, "Only one of you belongs." The void around us pulsed slow, rhythmic, like a heartbeat waiting to stop. I felt something then, something cold and awful and undeniable. If I didn't move, if I didn't act right then, the hollow man was going to pull me inside that giant mass behind it, fuse me into it, make me one of the shapes pressed into its meat forever. A scream rose in my throat, but before I could make a sound, the hollow man's hand clamped over my mouth, fingers cold and trembling. "Don't make noise," it whispered. Noise means choosing. That's when I realized the truth. It never wanted me to say yes. It wanted me to panic. It wanted me to scream. It wanted to hear what kind of scream I made. Fear, rage, surrender. It wanted to learn the final piece it needed to replace me. And it almost had it. Almost. Until the other me, the terrified copy, did the one thing the hollow man didn't expect. He screamed for me. A raw, broken, desperate scream that echoed through the void like a ripping wound. Every creature, every pale, trembling shape in the darkness jerked at the noise, their heads snapping in the copy's direction like starving animals. The hollow man turned too, slowly, like an offended god. Its whole body stiffened, shuddering with fury. It hissed, wrong shape, and it surged at him. That was my moment, the only one I'd get. I bolted. Not a graceful run, not a heroic leap. A blind, stumbling sprint fueled by pure animal terror. The void floor wasn't a floor, it was flesh. It rippled under my feet, unsteady, pulsing like muscles spasming beneath skin. Behind me I heard bones cracking, dozens of limbs unfolding at once. The hollow man was moving. Fast. Too fast. The pale shapes in the dark started crawling toward the sound of my footsteps, their limbs twisting, dragging themselves across the membrane floor like desperate, starving insects. I didn't look back. You don't look back when something like that is chasing you. Your brain won't let you. Instead, I kept my eyes fixed on a single point in the distance, a faint, flickering glow, like a light behind a thin layer of skin. I sprinted toward it, the ground pulsing harder with each step, like the entire void was trying to push me back down its throat. The glow got brighter, brighter, until suddenly, I slammed into something solid. A wall, not flesh, not void, concrete, cold cracked concrete. And for a heartbeat, a single fragile heartbeat, I realized where I was. The service tunnel wall, reality. But only a thin layer of it. The light I'd been chasing wasn't sunlight. It was the faint glow of the emergency exit sign on the other side of the tunnel wall. If I could get through, if I could break it, I'd be out, alive, free. I pressed my hands against the concrete. It pulsed under my palms, softening. The void was pushing through, trying to drag me back. Behind me, a sound rose, not footsteps, a skittering, like hundreds of limbs crawling together. Closer, closer. I slammed my shoulder into the wall, once, twice. A crack formed. I heard the hollow man behind me, its voice stretched with rage and hunger. "You cannot leave. Your shape isn't finished." I slammed again. The crack widened. A cold, human-smelling draft rushed through it. I felt hands grabbing my legs, thin, desperate hands trying to pull me backward into the dark. I kicked wildly, screaming, slamming my body against the weakening wall until blood ran down my arms. Another crack, another. The emergency exit glow was bright now, so bright it burned my eyes. The wall was giving way. Concrete crumbled under my torn fingers. And then, the hollow man spoke directly into my ear. Not with imitation, not even close. I ran out of the tunnel, up the embankment, into the cold night air that felt like the first breath of life. I didn't stop running until I reached town. I didn't look back. I didn't sleep. I didn't speak. I didn't go home. I just walked. For hours. My mind felt shredded, like pieces were missing. Pieces the hollow man had already taken. But eventually, I found the courage to stop moving, to sit down on a bench beneath a flickering streetlight, to breathe. For a moment, it felt almost normal. Like maybe I had done the impossible. Maybe I had escaped something nobody else ever did. My heart slowed. My thoughts settled. I closed my eyes, and in the quiet, under the hum of the streetlight, I heard it, a faint breath. Not behind me, not below me. Inside me, right next to my ear, my own voice whispered, "You forgot something." My eyes snapped open, and across the street, standing in the shadow of an alleyway, was my silhouette, perfectly still, perfectly shaped, perfectly me, too perfect. And it smiled, not with a mouth, with the shape of its hollow face. Then it stepped forward, slow, certain, patient, like it already knew how the rest of my story ends. And then the darkness surged, shooting up my neck and across my skull. My vision snapped white, my mind split open like wet paper, memories scattered like feathers in a tornado. Childhood, faces, voices, moments, stripped away, consumed, digested. I felt myself stretching, thinning, dissolving into something vast and cold. My last thought, the last fragment of who I'd been, was a whisper barely my own. I don't want this. Then, quiet. Total, absolute, suffocating quiet. Not emptiness, stillness, containment. The darkness settled inside me like a second soul, and I wasn't myself anymore. Not fully, not ever again. Time moved differently after that. I don't know if hours passed, or years, or none at all. When I finally felt sensation again, it wasn't my body I felt. It was the walls, the trembling hum of the cavern, the heartbeat of the creature below, and the new presence, my presence, woven into its vast consciousness. I wasn't dead. I was part of it. A nerve, a whisper, a memory absorbed into something incomprehensible. And somewhere above, in the human world I no longer belonged to, another faint set of footsteps echoed in the hall. Another person, another story, another ending. And I felt myself smile, or the idea of smiling, as the darkness inside me whispered the only words I still remembered. Welcome home. This is Horror Story Society, and you made it to the end. If you felt that chill, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.